Well, good morning, everybody. All right, so Mr. Jones cannot be with us today because he was stuck underground somewhere, and will eventually be with us. I don't think he's going to make it back to his place today, so we're going to have him jump in on Friday or as soon as we can find a time. So you're going to be stuck with me, which I know is rather terrible. However, we have quite a bit of things to talk about. And one of the things I'm really happy with, yesterday, I finally got to finish the first episode of The End of the War, what Kamla was actually doing, and where he was going and where he ended up, along with a couple other people you may not have heard of, but you will tomorrow. I was actually thinking about releasing it and just putting that on today because it's uploaded, but YouTube have not approved it yet. So, everything's approved until you put the word Nazi in the title, and then there you are. Then you need to have a review, and I guess that's okay. Anyway, I wasn't following the chat because I was running around milking up my coffee, and I saw somebody was talking about being under distress. So let me know what's going on. Making sure you guys are doing okay. Um, was that Knut that had a thing? And Crystal, you're back and you're in one piece. Um, so you have another idea on Kamala's boss? You mean, well, Himmler for a while, Hitler for a while longer, and then I don't know, Eisenhower. Which I'm going to go with. Anyway, I am also, as you all know, I don't know if you know, but Joseph had a heart attack, and he was in the hospital, and he got a stent put in, and he is out, and he's back home. We're supposed to get some treatment, of course. Now then, he also caught the flu in the hospital, so now they're waiting with treating him, and he sort of lost his voice. But from everything I can tell, he'll be fine, and it'll be a little while before he starts talking because, of course, the doctor told him to calm down a little bit and not work as at the pace he did. And his voice being gone is well, of course, going to hold him back for a while. But I'm pretty sure I know him well enough that he's not gonna sit still for very long. So I'm kind of looking forward to hearing back from him. I get a quick email here and there, and I'm not expecting a whole big um, report from him. I just want to make sure that he's alive and well, and if there's anything we can do to let us all know. So um, I don't think we need to put him in witness protection program yet. I mean, he needs to witness on something first. Um, but no, Joseph will be with us as soon as he can, I'm sure. And I was actually thinking about going out to see him. Um, will he quit smoking? Well, just because you have a heart attack doesn't mean necessarily you can blame it on the cigarettes. I not a big fan. I'm not. I'll tell you guys something about smoking. And Tom, I hope you better damn well be paying attention because we're going to be going up and down some hills and some more mountains. Um, my mom eventually ended up passing because of what you could say would be smoking related in the sense of it corrodes the arteries long term and cholesterol and all that and reduced blood flow and there's other things, but that certainly was a factor. And she did after 40 years quit smoking, but um, it was not fun. It was not the way anybody should go. So I never had a pro or con on smoking, and Lord knows half the movies I've done, I smoke in them. Well, World War II movies, you have to smoke. How am I going to portray World War II without smoking? It's part of it, but it's not exactly an endorsement that you should start. And I smoke a cigar here and there, certainly, but it's just something that you guys wanna keep in mind, that cigarettes may not be the best thing for you. I think and again, weed is probably not the best thing for you either. At least not if you're driving in front of me, I said. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at on that. So I was planning to talk a lot about what Mr. Jones found underground, since he has been under a lot of these places that we've been crawling around on top of, or in the smoking is also it's a conditioning. I know a lot of professional. I'm sorry, we'll just going back to the smoking for a minute. I know a lot of professional bodybuilders or people that compete, and they start smoking when they start dieting, just because to take away the hunger. I don't think that's a thing anymore, but when I was competing, that was a lot of guys that would start doing that. So, which I would think would infringe with your cardio somehow, and also, of course, I mean, and cigarettes is one thing. I mean, if I smoke a cigar every now and again, I like to get the real ones that doesn't have any of the horrible stuff you stick in a cigarette. But that's just me, and I don't think it's often enough that it's gonna do a whole hell of a lot. And it's full of chemicals, just like, well, it is what it is. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to talk to Jones about is he looked around. He has some theories about Project Riese, about the locations out there, about where he thinks it's possible. And he was talking about the most likely place for something to be hidden, in his opinion, is in the tunnels or the mine shaft under the henge, which is really a hard and expensive place to get into. They capped them for one, and they're deep, they're full of water, and if there's just a little bit of truth to what we've been hearing, there's something in there that's very that's either radioactive, well, according to testimonies, like then it is radioactive. There's something in these tunnels that have killed people in the past. Plus, of course, one of the reasons the mine closed in 31 for a while, I think it was 31, was because there was the gases from what they were mining there, just the natural dangers of mining. So it is carbon monoxide, I believe, and so mining it is in a dangerous place, and those tunnels that has been filled up and collapsed and stuff put in. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get into the ones under there. But there are also other places. There's quite a few places out there. Sorry, my camera's there and my chat is there and the pictures are there. So if my head starts spinning around, it's because I'm trying to keep up with you all. I hate not looking in the camera when I talk to you, but I gotta get a read. Anyone can see the video? I see what video I missed a part. We touched the top of my smoking. Go on for it. I mean, we can talk about cigarettes forever. Remember World War I and World War II? They gave out the cigarette packs with the little cigarette cards with pictures of famous people or the air aces or what have you to plaster in the little book. I know we all seen the Blackadder episodes from the World War I, but it's true. And I have a bunch of the Germans did the same thing. I have some of those old books where you have pictures of Goering and everybody who in the leadership. You'd buy you can buy a cigarette pack, and you'd get the little picture, and you'd put that in your picture book until it's full. So smoking have always been promoted, and in World War II. It was even when I went to boot camp, you had guys, they got a choice between, I think it was 5 cigarettes or a couple of bars of chocolate. every now and so often. And I don't smoke, so I got the chocolate until I realized how much money smokers would actually pay for a cigarette. It's like, I'll start taking the cigarettes because there's money in that. Well, hey. And World War II, the German army every army issued cigarettes back during the Second World War. The German army even had issued cigars, German army cigars. And when we were shooting Brothers War up in Northern California, there was a little shop up there, that little military history shop, where they had a box of original German army cigars. And I've been kicking myself ever since that I didn't buy at least one, because then I could take the bandolier. Okay, they're 75-year-old at that time, like 70-some-year-old cigars. I don't think I wanted to smoke them, but I wanted to get the bandolier because, I had a little bit more money back in that day, and I had a Cuban guy who made cigars for me. I had my own cigars, and I had a little bandolier with my family crest on. But I thought it would be cool to have those bandoliers replicated and smoke in a movie or reenactment or whatever. So have something else, but with a German army bandolier on it. So that was kind of my thought. And those damn German army lighters. Oh, the ones they're a nightmare. I hope they were better back, the ones made during the war, because the replica ones, nightmare. You will see in a couple of movies where I'm smoking a cigarette and I'm hiding the lighter, or I'll display the German big lighter and then I'll hide it. It's because there's actually a big lighter that I'm hiding in my hand because the damn real ones couldn't work. And then the Zippo lighters, the old flick open. So we got some interesting complaining that, well, German soldiers, they wouldn't have these, and that was not period. And actually, I researched it. Actually was German soldiers, not inconceivable that they would have had these because they existed before the war and could thus have been sold to the German soldiers. So it's not entirely impossible for that. Anyway, so what? Just catching you up, we're done on the cigarettes. What Wehrmacht pipes? Somebody was talking about Wehrmacht pipes. I don't know. Chris, what pyramid is an initiation to underground cities? All right. While you for a minute are talking about Ronson lighters, while you talking about cigarettes for a minute, I'll give you a little heads up on one of the really cool things about doing this show for the past couple of years and doing this research and being on the ground is more and more people from around the world have started reaching out to me. And believe it or not, half of this is, of course, to show you guys what's out there, as well as I'm trying to figure out for myself what's out there, but also bring a little bit of positive interest into the topic of what actually happened and reaching a broader audience, which we've done. And a lot of people, well, we haven't done enough. So we need to post more of these videos out to everybody to get more people to see them. And especially I have been contacted by several people who are now older, who've seen these and who had family that was in Jonastal, who had family who knew some of these guys that survived after the war and have started reaching out to me with really important information and really important coordinates. And I also chat regularly with Kamla's grandson, who we have now established speaks a lot better English than I speak German. And I'm really looking forward to spending some more time with them. He just seems like a really nice family. And of course, none of them are condoning in any which way what was done during the war. but they still want to know what happened to their grandfather. And I have the episode that's coming out tomorrow. Sometimes doing this is easy. When it's a walkthrough, it's fairly easy to do and to edit. But when it's something like the Himmler episodes, or the one I did yesterday where there's very little photo material, or the ones there are, I really have to dig for. And in different languages, it is so hard. And I've noticed over the past couple of years that I use DuckDuckGo, I don't use Google. But it doesn't matter what search engine, if I search on, I have to go to the archives to get certain pictures. But if whatever I search for, what comes up is most of the time completely irrelevant to what I actually searched for. It is getting harder and harder to go online and find any of this information, which is, I don't know if it's a deliberate effort, because I don't know if anybody's sitting anywhere giving a damn, but it's about actively hiding searches of World War II terminology, but it's not easy. And some of these people that are, or at least were well known or were important, and there are no photos of them. For the episode tomorrow, there's two of the most important people in the research and production of war materials during the war. There are exactly one photo of each one of them. So trying to make it presentable, I'll tell the story with relevant. I had to go to the archives and get video from that time, and so many other things, books and different files, and from you guys. And that's really what is important, and what will become more and more important is when I start researching ahead for things, I need you guys to help me out sometimes with photos or information or things, because I'm spending way more than half of my time simply researching for a photo of a person or material, and it does take a lot. It'll take a lot of time. And I remember I was in contact with somebody who spent time in the German archives. Their website search is the most useless I've found. The National Archives in Washington, their online resources is actually quite good. The British archives, I don't know if they just took a month off. You can't even file a request. It just says system overloaded, can't do it. It's been that for a month, which is not making it any easier to ask for reports that I know they have, but I can't file a request for them. They'll answer on the support. The Russian archives, well, if any of you guys are sitting in Moscow and speaks German, English, and Russian, do let me know, because I can't go there right now, because apparently no one can. And I really need to find out what they have. So there's that coming up. And yes, you need to write your questions down. There's no problem. I don't want to get it. So, and also, it'll thinking ahead, knowing what episodes is coming. What's the website for the National Archives? It is archives.gov. And when I research, I usually research through Muckrock. And I see when you sign up, you get into a slightly different portal where slightly more things are visible, I guess. The British are just impossible, and I don't even know if it's bureaucracy or just a poorly designed website, or it's deliberate. Even when you go to the website, you have other things, and World War I, World War II doesn't even come up as a category. And I would think the British should sort of remember World War II. They were quite a big part of it. All right, take care. I see you. Check in with the episode tomorrow. You will get a kick out of that. A wing girl, please. Yeah, and if you can, it is a source of research, and tracking down files. I don't think it's a secret that the CIC back in 1945 wrote several memos and rockets up and down diplomatics that they had Kamla and where he was going and where he were at certain times. And I'm trying to figure, well, the CIC is not called CIC anymore. Where did those files go? Did they get swept into appropriate agencies? So the files pertaining to Army research went to the Army Intelligence Branch, or did they go to the CIA archives, or did they eventually get released to? That's the problem you're facing when doing archival research. But anyway, that's it. That is just one of those things that takes time, and that's why having some of you guys reaching out to me, which you have done, people who've seen this and found out, oh, my granddad was there, my dad was there, and I'm getting some coordinates. I'm getting some things that have now taken us to the step of now we have to figure out how to let the governments who are in charge of some of these locations actually let us in. And I don't know, being if it's being a no profit will help. I'm not sure exactly what it will take, except common sense argumenting that a lot of us wants to know and we deserve to know. And it's been so long that the main excuse I hear are two. One is, and that's the easy one, is dangerous. Well, everything in life is dangerous. It's dangerous to go for a walk down the street. So the danger argument is, but it holds a lot back. And then in certain places, you have to have archaeologists that are registered with that country, and you have to have oversight, and you have to have all these security parameters in place, which makes it really expensive to look at these places. And you go, well, no wonder. Well, the CIA haven't gotten back to me yet. No wonder people sneak into these places, because they make it so hard and so impossible to get into them or even see them or study them, that people just give up and go alternatively. And that sometimes is what gets dangerous. That's the one excuse. And the other excuse is, well, they don't want to glorify the past, which at this point, after so long, honestly, is ridiculous. I mean, certainly there are neo-Nazis out there, but it's not that they really seem to be congregating around tunnel systems and underground construction sites in that sense. I just don't think it's good enough that there's a couple of people who may have that sentiment to keep everyone else out or keep all other historians out. I don't think that's a good enough reason. But anyway, it's one of those things. Of course, the government hiding something, but the government hiding something about everything. Anyway, that is sort of what we're trying to do. So I figure signature collection requests, both for Austria and for Germany, is that we want to know. Here's 1 million signatures of open up, let me in. And also the safety part can be negated by saying, well, fine, you don't want to let anybody in here who's dangerous. Let me and a couple of my guys in there who's used to this to film it and document it in depth and put that documentation online so other people can see it without having to put their head under the door, so to speak. That is the other plan. Now, I do have one thing to show you. You all remember, I don't know if you remember, but you better remember, when we were by the henge, there were those strange looking bunkers off to the side, the smaller ones, and we couldn't figure out what they were. And I found a Polish historian who showed me, sorry, I can't see through my camera, who showed me some of what it was, and they claimed that these were actually gas airtight bunkers, underground shelters for air raids. And Paul was so nice to go do these, and he redid these when I looking for what the gas protection airtight doors could be and where they would be and where they were placed based on what I filmed. So the official story now is that these were literally air raids shelters. And okay, as out by the Ries, out by the Henge on the other side of the road. Air raid shelters, you say. Everything is correct in that sense in the drawing and what was there, and I totally get it. The only thing I don't get is that they were above ground shelters that was covered up with a couple of feet of dirt. Any direct impact on pretty much any kind of munition would collapse the whole structure. And why are there 4 ventilation shafts for such a relatively small bunker? You see the air raid shelters in Denmark that if I had pulled up somewhere, which I may have, let's see if I can show you. For the shelters, the regular air raid shelters that was built slightly different, had a different look entirely. They were not much deeper, and they were holding 20, 30, 40 people. And there was only one tower, maybe 2. Let me see if I can actually find a little video of those, because I did some of those. So I think it's really strange that there was supposed to be an air raid shelter, given that it was so high up. Sorry, I have like 4,000 rolls of film here. I'm trying to find the one that I happened to shoot out in Denmark, and I think I am. Well, it was just a straight thought anyway. Which is apparently not on this hard drive at all. It's a little strange. Not on this hard drive. Never mind. Show you later. Just take my word for it. Let's see the size. Yeah, I mean, it's just the exhaust pipe. That's the funny thing about when I go through these places and I film them. I don't actually see everything that's there, because I spend more time trying to make sure the camera's not bouncing around, everything is in focus, because then it's captured, and then we can analyze the footage when I get home, and then I can start thinking about it. I missed that there was a chimney there. Most bunkers have a bunker oven, but that it just seems so elaborate. And then there would be a brick chimney and 2 ventilation, but usually in military bunkers there would just be a simple simple pipe sticking out through the cement, usually a little bit at a couple of angles. But officially out there, that is the story, that it is these 2 are air raid shelters. I haven't. What Paul did here is absolutely correct. But it doesn't change the fact that I think there's something. I don't get it. I don't get that this would just be an air raid shelter or the other one. Plus, they're way on the other side of the road. So, yeah, I don't know. There's just, and that's the problem we're having. Well, we can kind of divide it up. If it's west of Germany, Austria, you just generally get no information. And if you are in Czechia or Poland, you get a lot of conversation, get a lot of suggestions and a lot of gossip and a lot of stories, lots and lots of stories. And that really is a problem, because you really have to start figuring out what is the truth of what they're telling you. What are what is just stories? I swear, if I hear more stories about gold trains, although there is something coming up on that one, which is a completely different story that we'll get to that this year. Some things have landed on my desk that I don't want to talk about it yet, but I would like to verify before I tell you guys what's going on, because something has come up that may be really serious, and more towards the valuable side than the special research. And yeah, now that you mention it, that might actually be the thing. In Czechoslovakia, you have this region up on the Metnik Hill, Strešovice, where you had this huge mission, accordingly to, calm down, Lisa. Yes, said gold train, but no. Where the story was that, and again, there's so many stories, and this is just an interesting one, where there's this famous rich inventor or entrepreneur. He's here now. He lives in America. He's in his late 80s. Spent 40 years out in Czechia. He was originally a Sudeten German who claimed that he was given secrets by Emil Klein, the camp commander, of secrets and gold transports that were funneled into that area and hidden in underground bunkers. So they've been digging up this hillside for 40, 50 years. And when I say people are getting themselves killed, and they're fighting over the rights to dig here, and there's just something so not right. For instance, it was said that a train loaded with a lot of gold left Berlin in late April and went to Prague, or to this site Metnik Hill is not far from Prague, so we'll go with Czechoslovakia, where all these things were hidden. Now, and that is one of the bases of one of the stories. One of these guys are spending literally millions of dollars of research and looking for and digging up. But if you look at late April, the train at Dresden had been bombed. The train link between Berlin and Prague or Czechoslovakia was severed. There's no possibility for a train to get out of there, get out of surrounded Berlin at this point. I think the ring closed around the 23rd to 24th completely. For a full train to get out, that in itself would be impossible. And why would anybody then take a train full of valuables from being surrounded by the Russians to a place that was almost surrounded by the Russians? It was a known entity that that Prague and Czechoslovakia would fall to the Russians and remain under the Russians. Everybody knew the Russians weren't going anywhere. Certainly the Germans knew. The Americans seemed ignorant at it. Churchill probably knew. I don't think he knew, but everybody was just kissing up to Stalin, let him do whatever he wanted, which is something that has really been lamented for a long time. But to think that they will bring in valuables, and there's also special research projects and sites. The whole point of hiding something is that you can get back to get it, right? So you don't want to hide anything in a place where that you're fairly certain is going to be occupied for the next forever. So, and that's another thing I'm thinking, if they dump things down into the under the Henge or those mine tunnels and filled them up and blew them up, they would then by default, or in Richard had blown that up, have hidden things in places that would be occupied almost probably permanently by the Russians in some way, for one, and also in places where they can retrieve them. So for gold and valuables to be hidden in a place like in the mineshaft under the henge or in the Richard tunnels, where you would have no way of retrieving it. That seems sort of like a really bad idea. I don't think they're that dumb. Then you could have secret research projects, and paperwork and materials to be dumped into these. Well, then they more about hiding it from the enemy than it was with the plans of retrieving it. That I could see the possibility of. Anyway, that's kind of like what we're up against, and that's why in the episodes coming out tomorrow, YouTube willing, I break down what Kamla was doing and why they were going there, and why I don't think he necessarily was going there at all. But that's a different story. And then I spent a couple of days out in Metnick Hill with some very nice people, trying to dig through where these locations that have been found were, what they were. But I spent a lot of time trying to just listen to the stories and go, well, that doesn't make sense. And if I apply a little bit of common sense, however, I have also heard stories of vertical missile silos that was constructed and built. At the time I hear them, I'm like, yeah, that's insane. No. There's no vertical missile silos. They weren't there yet. The American rocket wasn't there yet. And the American rocket was, or the A910, were not supposed to be vertically launched. It was supposed to be launched down a rail. Well, that was the Silvervogel. Possibly the A10 or another rocket design that I have now heard. And I'm reading Werner Grothmann, Himmler's aide's statement. Did you get that, by the way, Tom? Yeah, he was talking about a successful test towards the end of the war. They did the same thing from Prague, where they had one thing you don't know. Well, you'll know tomorrow that there was a whole parallel rocket research facility or a setup parallel with Peenemünde and von Braun and Dornberger that was run by the SS. SS Sturmbannführer Rolf Engel, and he ended up in Pribram with the Skoda works, or the Kamla stop there, where they merged towards the end of the war. And those scientists, well, I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell it tomorrow, but I spent a lot of time on that. And there's just, you really have to differentiate between the stories. And sometimes, it's like, I'm not going to address the 14 different suicides of General Kamla, because if I don't believe one of them, I don't believe in any of them. And if I don't believe in any of them, which I don't, because the Americans have given us plenty of papers that Kamla, when he was caught, where he surrendered, what he was doing, where they sent him, for years there was paperwork back and forth about him. So I am as certain as I can be that he surrendered or did a deal, whatever he did a deal, he surrendered with the Americans on May 6th. So all the stories of his suicide or murder or disintegration or getting into a UFO flying to the moon, they don't matter. However, what they do tell is that all his closest associates were willing to lie about where they thought he went to cover up that, well, he's dead. He's so dead, he died 14 different times. And he really wasn't mentioned at Nuremberg either for that very reason. And the one time Speer actually mentioned him as being the head of the rocket research, there's no follow-up questions. None. Nobody touched him at all in Nuremberg. So if he'd been dead, well, they would have been talked about him, wouldn't they? They were not talking about him. He was somewhere else at that time. So all the stories that we have about he was seen here and there and here and there and here and there, leading us to think where he went. Well, if we already accept that all those stories are wrong, because they are, we don't have to listen to any part of them, do we? Which opens up a whole new can of worms of where he actually did and where he actually went. And that's interesting because there's some locations and some maps that exists. And by the way, Kamla Jr. sent me all the documents that Emil Klein, he wrote during his imprisonment. They put him in prison for 17 years, and he did not have a good time there. And I'm not entirely sure why they actually claim to justify they put him in prison, because as head of a pioneer school, I don't think he
did anything. He wasn't in head of the concentration camp there, the labor camp there. So I'm not entirely sure what it is they actually put him in prison for, except to keep him there until he told them where what he had hidden was. And they did find some things. Several things were found that I'll tell you all about. But he wrote a lot of things in code. So if any of you are really, really, really good at code breaking and read German and breaking codes in German, do let me know, because there's a whole lot of papers that we really cannot sort of haven't been deciphered yet. And Kamla himself wrote a couple of things in code, which is not the same, just of course, because why would anything be easy? Yeah. And there's a lot of documents, a lot of drawings, and I'm going to cover him in the episode after this, because so much interesting story, so much interest came out of it, to the point where when they put him in prison, they stuck one of these that became a explorer afterwards, imprisoned with him for years to befriend him, to see if he would tell him the secrets they wouldn't tell him while torturing him. And after he was released, he came out, and this guy started treasure hunting all over this site for decades. And yeah, it was Matt. But now this guy who's living in America is digging holes all over, and he finally got an exclusive deal with the Czech government that he had the exclusive rights to dig. And there's just I'm looking at his premise. I'm not buying it. So I'll probably briefly tell you what they say they're doing, but if I don't buy it, I'm not going to tell you, because why waste time? Well, I was actually going to go to Nuremberg and this summer. Well, as soon as everything sort of warms up out there, the days gets a little longer so we can film. I also need to get a better camera because, and you didn't see it, but my camera broke while I was out filming a forest. I was doing a nice fog in the forest, and my little lens went bang. I'm like, okay. So much for stabilizer. Yes, there's a lot of things. The Cathedral Mountain. There's just a lot of interesting things and a lot of small hiding places. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at, is smaller localized hiding places. But if you were the last general in charge of special projects, you were the only one Hitler, Himmler, and Goebbels trusted. If you have something truly valuable and truly important, i.e. an outside special research project, who would you trust to hide it? If there were valuables or an amber room or something, who would you trust to hide those at those last days where Hitler was feeling being betrayed by everybody? Well, just saying. Yeah, I got to figure out what I want first. And it's interesting. There's stories that Himmler tried to have Kamla assassinated, and certainly I think it was Operation Foxley. The OSS had set him up as one of the top 10 to be assassinated of Nazi hierarchy. So the premise that they actually bombed Nordhausen specifically because they knew he was there. Obviously, he almost got caught up in the land raid at Antwerp, where they had the airborne landings, because there was V2 sites there. He almost got caught up in that as well. And it was said that his family said that the OSS had reached out to him in already 1944. And I think Schellenberg would have played a part, because, of course, most of what we know about Walter Schellenberg, which was Heydrich's deputy and became in charge of, he was a spy. He was a spy. And Schellenberg is a very interesting character. And of course, most of what we know about him is from what he has written about him. So obviously, he thinks he's a cool guy. No, I don't think Schellenberg, he was a convicted Nazi in any sense in that way. He he seemed a little more level-headed in his approach to the Allies, the end of the war, no, let's just not kill everybody. Let's try to talk to these people first. He just, from what I remember reading, I read have a couple of his books. He did seem a little bit more, a little bit more level-headed, which also meant that him as a connection point, he was in and out of Switzerland, where Dulles was from OSS, then became CIA. So it makes sense that Schellenberg was a link, could have been a link between Kamla and the OSS. There's plenty of ways for these guys to have communicated behind the scenes. And the story that Himmler had actually reached out to the Allies to surrender Germany unconditionally was not entirely correct, but he had started to make advances towards the Allies, and he went through Count Bernadotte in Sweden through his Swedish masseuse, which is interesting because why would he not have the same link to Dulles in Switzerland? The Swiss, I think, play a larger part in this, including the hiding of the money and the nuclear secrets, because it's right above the border, right across the border. Lots of tunnels out there, lots of banks out there that would hide all your things, lots of business transfers and companies transfers. What you do, what the mob used to do, and what people still do today, is they set up a business to run the business. Then they transfer all the assets to another business and bankrupt the first one. Then they don't have to pay their taxes. What do you think happened towards the end of the war? All these German businesses that now needed to be rescued from the Allies and reparations and all that. Well, they were slowly, all their assets were sold and forfeited to other companies that was owned abroad, quite a few of them Swiss. For then the German part of the company, well, devastated by war, went out of business, changed their names, and came back in a slightly different form. But it survived the war. That's how a lot of really big businesses survived the war. It's very interesting and rather convoluted. And I fortunately have a Swiss banker who will help me try to understand exactly how this transfer happened. But apparently that is how it happened, keeping them all alive. Now, are you trying to channel the Mohawk? No, I'm just trying to wake you, dude. I woke up knowing something. The IG fireman. I woke up knowing something was wrong. I knew Jones was stuck underground, high and tight. Work in Hollywood. Hell no. As long as I still have hair in my head, I needed to attract females in order to maybe get a girlfriend. And you look at, and that's another thing that I found out, and it's interesting. A lot of what I discover and learn, I discover while I'm doing these episodes. When I actually sit down and start looking at the research, and I put it together because I need to put it together so I can tell it, to present it to you, so it sort of makes some sort of sense. And that's when I start finding all the little notations of, oh yes, and by the way, the German rocket scientists in Czechoslovakia, they also made it out. Which now lead me to think, well, why exactly would Kamla go there at all? However, that's a different story. We can have that conversation after tomorrow's episode because there's a lot of information in there. And it is very interestingly backed up by one of the smartest people we've met out there, the curator of the Aeronautical Museum in Prague. I met with out there, and he talked a lot about what happened. And not going to go bald, forget it. He talked a lot about things and people that there are absolutely no photos of. I asked Pia out in Sweden to see if he could dig up the photo of one of the guys we're talking about. And that's the interesting thing is I know that there's pictures taken of these people. So trying to look for books about them then, at least. If I can't read my 400 emails I'm backed up, then reading all the books. I did get this one I wanted to show you because it's fun. Oops, where are you going? Where are you going? Where's the thing going there? Sorry, I had a fun picture. For those of you who remember, we had a thing. Oops. We had a thing. Don't know you remember the Donkeyfaust. It's been a while. I know there's some of you, you new guys that may not have seen the QA we did on the donkey and the German soldiers in Italy with the donkey with the Panzerfaust on it, mounted on it, and it was kind of just for fun. They did it, but it was a fun photo, and it is sort of slowly turning into what will become a T-shirt. Yep, Time Machine Radio Show. Yep. Made a show of it. And I had some it had some interesting donkey ideas. I keep wanting to make a happy donkey, but I don't know. I guess he wouldn't be a happy donkey if they actually fired the damn thing on his back. You actually did make a T-shirt of the Donkeyfaust. The Donkeyfaust. I will upload it right away. And also, by the way, I'm slowly working my way through doing the website, and I know a few of you guys have offered to actually do websites for me. Right now, I'm kind of liking where it is. I'm starting to divide up the different episodes under different tabs that are with an easier overview. So now you can actually find things easier and quicker. Find the different episodes, different categories. I need a chat there. So that's where we're kind of the next step. So we can have our own private chat on there, like a members only area thing. So we can actually talk in peace without, I heard the conversation I had with, up in Canada with a Marine radio show. Got cited for hate speech initially, and then that was appeal, and that was fun. And I still have no idea what we said. We don't say anything. So it would just be nice to have that. So that's kind of for us to have a forum where we could actually talk, members only. That's a key. And Patreon is growing, which is really nice. I'm trying to almost done with uploading all of the Last Nazi Secrets on the Patreon. All the episodes are up there, so there they are. It would be nice if I could do a nice overview and line them up there, but we shall see. But there's a reason why we don't talk current politics here. It's unless we can hint to where things lead. I think I always said I'll go to 55, and then we'll stop there, which I guess I'm bordering on, because you'll see tomorrow. You'll see. It's very interesting where a lot of these people actually went, and there's quite a bit of PDFs that I would like to share with you guys as well, either on the website or I'll make them public on the Patreon, because I can there. As I always said, all the documents that I'm looking at and all the statements, a lot of it is in German. And I am trying to get some of I have plenty of German friends that just don't seem to work very fast, and they have time. The German friends I have whose German is perfect, I'm trying to get them to translate some of these statements and some of these letters and some of these documents directly, so everyone else can read them as well, because there's a lot of and that's interesting, because there's a lot of information in other languages that we just don't get here, because their books or writings, their website is in a different language. Their books don't get translated and published here in English-speaking countries, which is really interesting, because there's so much research that have been done by local historians both in Poland and Czechoslovakia, and Germany and Austria, and you never see or hear it,
because it just doesn't get here. So I'm trying to fix that, because that is important. Why are we rewalking a road these guys have already walked, when all we need to do is translate what they've done, like what I tried to do with out in Poland with a few. It's interesting to get their stories. Okay, I don't know, that was interesting to get their stories correctly translated and out to you guys, right or wrong. Let's hear what they're thinking and what they're working on, what they're looking at. Anyway, need Jameson. Well, I have 80 pages of Goldman's statement. I would very much like to have translated. I sort of roughly did some of it. Where the hell did that go? Where did that? Ah, the bonsai. Yes, I do, but like it's a lot. Now we're at the time where I sort of roughly translated I think there's 60 pages into English, but they need to be proofread, and the context is not entirely correct. So Timeless. Did I work on Timeless? I think I did work on Timeless. It sounds from. I'm sorry, I don't remember all the shows and stuff I've done. I don't watch them. I just show up and do my little, peanut butter in the mouth, pretending to talk and be a human being, and then I leave. I think I did a bit piece on Timeless. I seem to remember that name. I have not made up my mind about Mark Feldman, because sometimes he gets it. I don't know. I mean, he makes these nice, short, concise videos that make sense. But it always begs more. And yeah, that is sort of the impression I have, is that he's very much presenting the narrative, and sometimes he goes a little. He did start exploring the idea that Himmler wasn't. Himmler was killed and did not commit suicide, which I'm surprised at. But I think that is one of those things that really needs to be explored. Not because it's going to change history. Well, I think the Himmler suicide is important. It was more important to have gotten it right, or asked these questions in 1945, because a lot of SS veterans were very, very disheartened that he had, in their minds, taken the easy way out. So in that sense, having killed him, to tell them it was a suicide did have a demoralizing effect on the remaining SS troops, even in surrender. Also because it was a fear that they were all going to resurrect and do the werewolf thing and start a partisan war. Excuse me. So, and besides, Himmler just knew too much. I just don't think Himmler was going to kill himself. And from all the circumstantial evidence and statements and things I've seen on that, I'm just not buying it. There's just too many things that doesn't make sense in that story. Plus, is this verifier? What is this? No idea. IDS, this verifier. Sorry, you may want to clarify that question there, Lion. Anyway, and then there's a lot of other high-ranking SS officers who did not survive meeting with the British, who also suicided themselves in British captivity. So there's proceedings for it. And anyway, Oh, God. I don't think there are any photos of me. The last photos I had of me in a Danish uniform was headshots. That pissed everybody off, so that won't happen again. Let me in. They won't let me in. Who won't let you in? Am I missing something? Hang on. Well, I have noticed that we have fewer viewers this week than we had last week, or the week before. We're actually going down. Oh, well, I guess people are no longer locked up. They need to go to work now. Don't have time for us. Looks, everything seems to be working. Anyway, sorry, I'm trying to find out what's going on with the. I age restricted this video, so it can't be monetized. I can't put ad in this. I don't know what this is all about. Viewers must sign in at. Viewers must be signed in at least 18 years old to watch it. Hang on. All right. Okay. Lion, I figured out what this was. No, don't restrict the video. Sorry about that, guys. When you upload all these videos, for some reason on the chat, there's a question that says, yes, made for kids, no, not made for kids. Always, and if you create yourself, always make sure your videos are listed, not made for kids, because you open up a whole different can of worms in monetization. It's no longer age restricted. I fixed that. There's another tier down that says restrict my video to viewers over 18 or don't. I'd never seen it before. I just thought that was related to the not made for kids thing. So I did not know there was a sign. No wonder we're having so few people here. All right. Okay. Well, I guess that explains it. Well, I'm still not going to monetize. This is just a chat. Oh, bloody hell. That was the wrong one. Okay, that's in review. Wow. All right. Well, I guess that explains it. Okay, now there's no restriction. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I wish you said that before. All right. Huh. All right. So now that has been taken away. So that should be fun, but I'm still not monetizing it. But the age restriction is gone. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed. I did not know there was an age restriction entity that required that. YouTube also changed another setting that now I get a specific dedicated email every time there's a comment, which is which is sorry. All right. Well, anyway, that was interesting. Are you sending me a Donkeyfaust? Let's see what you got. All right, this is the other Donkeyfaust. All right. This was the other box. Credit card details to watch. What? They want credit card detail to watch? Foreign correspondent, can you... All right, we'll go back on this again. What on earth is all this? I'm just checking out what this feature. Now we're learning together here. So live is streaming. Yes. So live. No, it should be fine now. It's not asking for anything. Yeah, I took the age restriction of verification away, so that's gone. So you should not have any restrictions. Yeah, it's running now. Wow. Yeah, maybe have to. Yeah, try to shut down and come back in. Close down your browser and then open it back up again. Then you should be fine. Not that we are. This one's cleared. It's other video. Where are you? It's other videos on Warlike. Last of Old Breed. Me and Blue. What am I missing now? Oh, we're still talking about here. But if you log in now, it should not be an issue. When I took the restriction away, close down the browser and then start all over again, or just open it back up again. Anyway, since we didn't get to talk to the gentleman that we're supposed to talk to, and Google asked for your bank. Pio, why did they do that? To see this chat? Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. If you're already in, then just close the browser window and start all over again. But yeah, that's. I guess that is something to not ever do again. Like I said, there's a lot of technical stuff that we sort of have to sort of work on. Yeah, I use my PayPal for the most part. I don't ever. I have a public credit card, the ones for sites that I don't know, and yes, I know. Credit card. Yeah, the credit card's for age proof. Yeah, but it's gone, so it shouldn't be an issue anymore. And at least what have you seen? Well, anyway, speaking of, there's not much more to speak of. But I'm a little bit curious about tomorrow, because it was an interesting episode to do, and it's one of those that if I kept going, it would be hours and hours, and I kind of cut it past an hour because it's a lot of information, and I wanted to make sure I kind of got that clear. At the end of this year, I think I'm going to do a long episode, like the very first episode I ever did on this, and break down everything fair in one clear, concise timeline manner.
everything we have discovered so far. But again, everything takes time, and you guys are greedy. You want episodes every week. So, anyway, that's kind of it. And now we'll interesting to know that now we know I've learned something about YouTube. That's good to know. Anyway, I don't have a whole lot more to say today, except keep sending me locations that you guys find that are interesting, and that I'm going to try to spend a little more time about the southern end of the Maginot Line and the German and French and Italian forts in the Alps, because they're kind of interesting. I'm going to spend a little time in Switzerland looking at some of their forts and what they were doing on the ground. I believe I have an invitation to the huge underground NATO bunker in Italy. It's been closed for decades. Somebody actually has the key. I think I saw a video of it by somebody who crawled through the ventilation shaft. However, I found somebody with a key, so we'll do that instead. But it's and one thing I'm going to try to do, ask you guys for in advance, is maybe help me with a little bit of the research, because, like I said, I spend more time looking for photos or videos of times, places, and events and people than I do pretty much anything else, which means I could be more efficient if you guys help me out finding some of the photos of some of the people in question. Because, like, you take somebody like Rolf Engel, who was the head of one of the rocket pioneers of Germany, and he ended up as a Hauptscharführer in the SS. He ran the special rocket program. One of them, not the one he didn't like Dornberger, he didn't like the army. He fell afoul with the German army and was arrested in 1933, and he joined the SS. He was a big shot. He was a high-ranking SS man. After the war, he had a very prominent career and ended up working in the German space program. I find one photo of this man. I have looked holes in the ground, every archives, even books written by him. He wrote one. He hated the Russians. There's one photo of this man, and given his prominence, there should be more. And if I spend a day looking for that, it could be nice if you guys could help me out with some of these things. And maybe I could set up a Dropbox where people can just drop in the photos you find. So, Pia, yes. Well, you're sort of out of time, Pia. But no, you any time. We talk a lot about this guy. I asked Pia to look in Sweden to find a picture of this man we're talking about, because I couldn't find one. Found a newspaper article from Sweden, I think, or New York Times, about him being arrested. That's a different story. You'll see that tomorrow. But no, Pia, since also my friend is writing a whole book about him, he doesn't even have any photos. Imagine that. You have writing an entire book about a person you can't find a single photo of. So yes, I will try to set up a couple of Dropboxes for that. But do visit the website. Go to the chat room and or chat box, the thing in the back, and look for look at the back where it says blog, and drop in a note or a photo or something. Say hi, and we have a Russian friend here. FYI, do tell me that you work at the Russian archives in Moscow, please. No. And so anyway, that's one of those things I would like to do this year, is have you guys help me find some of the photos for some of the places and things and people I'm documenting. And if, like I said, research and share with the older generation, share with the people, especially in Germany and Austria, Poland, Czechia, anywhere around these sites, you know people or new people, reach out to them and let's try to find out what their story was, what they can tell, if there's any, because the people who lived there as a child or very young, well, they're getting old now, and the people who actually were there during the war are getting very old now. So the whole point of doing these episodes and doing these shows is to get the word out that we have a renewed interest in what went on. Okay, I don't think the interest ever went away. There's lots of people researching these, but we need to start reaching out while we still have time, while people are still alive, to those who have any knowledge of these areas. For instance, I would love to talk to some of the Russians who were stationed in Jonastal and Ordorf during the Cold War, and in Turing in general. And I know we don't have a whole lot of Russian audience, and obviously I don't speak Russian, and it's a harder audience to reach. Speaking English, I get it, and I'm not entirely sure, but if any of you Russian listeners are out there, I really would like to start a research project of finding some of the people who were out stationed in these locations after the war, because what they've seen, I have a very interesting Stasi report of one of the Germans who were there that I promise not to share with you yet, and I haven't read it yet because I just got it. And we're doing a lot of working together, and we're in this together, and it just sometimes it would be really helpful if we, like I said, we all spread the word and try to get the information on the table, because that's something we need to do. And Joseph B. Farrell with me, can you set up a talk over his contacts to him with Kata Heydrich? Airwave, right now, Joseph is recovering from a heart attack and having the flu, and he can't talk right now. He's lost his voice, and it will eventually come back, but we need to let him recover and do his get better and get his voice back before that's going to happen. I will go out and see him at some point. I have asked him for Kata Heydrich's info, and he doesn't have it. We talked about that last year. In fact, I have looked and written and asked anybody for Kata Heydrich's information, because I really want to get him on the show. Can't find him. And through the publisher of the books, no response. No, it seems like he wanted to do this book and then go back to a life that had nothing to do with this. I saw he did several talk shows and radio shows. I just can't find him. There are several people that I really, really want to find that I cannot get a hold of. Thank you, Pierre. Yes, I have an impression about the Swedes that the Swedish intelligence service sat around listening to what everybody was doing, compiling information. Well, you're sort of sitting in the middle, and you have all this German communication, Allied communication, all this stuff going on around you. So you just sit there, being a neutral country, watching out for your own interests, and compile information. So I'm pretty sure that there's interesting stuff in the Swedish archives from what other people were doing around there. And Airwave, you are absolutely correct. I could also write Forum Borealis myself. I think we tried that at some point. I don't remember what happened to it. Carter Heydrich. Yeah, I should write. I haven't followed up with what Borealis is doing lately. Speaking of, is he Sweden or is he Norway? I don't remember. And I wrote Joseph before we went on, see if he had any messages, but I'm not expecting him to sit on his email. I'm expecting him to recover and play with his dog. Damn it. I guess Germans are bringing to the bank. So anyway. That's kind of what I'm hoping for this year. Is I will crawl around to a lot of different places, but I'm going to try to start putting out requests in advance before I start editing episodes of what I know is coming up. Like I know I'm doing the life story of Goebbels, more episodes on Himmler. I'm doing the Annenberg, Bormann, Göring. So at some point in time, we're going to need all the photos with sort of a time they were taken. I'm going to start compiling those and whatever videos there are of them that we can use. So, and there's eventually Churchill and others. So I'm trying to paddle through the whole leadership of the various countries of World War II. And some of them are easy. Himmler is easy because he wrote a diary. So we know exactly what he thought and said and did throughout most of his life, or at least those parts of the diaries found. Goebbels did the same, even though he kind of wrote it to be read. Bormann, it's going to be a little hard. It was going to be harder because there's not that many photos of him and there's not that much information about his life. I'm actually looking for a very good book on Bormann, if any of you can recommend one. Something that's not just about, the typical, he's a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. I want everything from childhood and his process of life. I'm looking for research material on Bormann, and I'll tell you guys this now. The Annenberg special has been sitting on my timeline for almost a year, and because I wanted to start on Himmler's life, because Himmler and the Annenberg are related because of his interest in history. The Annenberg was created, so that sort of makes sense. However, we all have heard about all this occult stuff and all these seances and what have you in the Nazi hierarchy. We all hear, Hitler was into the occult, and certainly Hess was. But when you look at, you can have an historical interest in something is not necessarily the same as you actually practice it. And the reason why the Annenberg has been sitting on hold is all this talk for all these years of all these occult practices within the Nazi leadership. When you actually start digging into it and looking for it, and looking for, well, what were they doing? Sacrificing baby goats or biting the heads of chickens, or what were they doing? Well, nothing comes up. And I do mean all of this talk. And they're talking about Hitler was an occultist. He was into this. I can't find a single reference. Well, I can find one where he sort of makes fun of Himmler's historical interest in referring to that Himmler's always looking for bones in the attic or something to that effect. There's just none of this. And I keep thinking, well, okay, there's so many stories and so much gossip and somebody has have said about the Nazi leadership. There's pretty much nothing that haven't been said of weird and odd and crazy and what have you. But when you start looking into it, there doesn't seem to be corruption. Yes. Ruthlessness. Yes. Individual agendas. Yes. Having people killed and deported and yes, all of that. Mostly infighting, really. But when it comes to the occult, there's nothing there. And I wanted to think all this stuff can't have come from nowhere. And that's why I really wanted to talk to Peter Lavende. I can't get a hold of him either. Wrote him on every forum that I could find. Because I really wanted to hear what the documentation was that he had found. Besides individuals here and there and people who knew people who were part of it. I just feel that when I do the Annenberg documentary for you guys, I think there has to be something to it, and I don't want to do it until I find that something. And I've been looking, and there's nothing there. I mean, nothing I could find. well, you have the blacks, you have the symbolism, you have the symbolism, you have the runes, you have the black sun, you have all these different occult symbols and Viking symbols and pagan symbols that was incorporated in the SS presentations. You have these big parades of SS garb and Roman garb, and you have the ceremonies and the torches and that in that sense. Yes, that you do. Himmler adopted a lot of symbolism because he had an interest in history. He had an interest in the past. And Goebbels had an interest in using some of that past to rewrite it into propaganda. So in that sense, there is a link. But I want you to think for a minute. And there are people that they brought in after Hess flew. They arrested as many psychics and readers as they could, because now that wasn't going to go anymore. And Himmler had a large library of occult books and history and so on. And I'm looking forward to seeing that, because it's in the National Library of Prague. I'm sorry, there's a bird buzzing my house. And you had Hess was most certainly interested and influenced by readers and psychics and so on. He was probably one of the only ones who really was influenced and in that. Himmler was interested in homeopathic medicines, in plants and healing by nature, and in that sense. But I want you to think about something for a minute. If you look at people who were, whether we don't have to approve of anybody's actions to admit that they were really smart people, and some of the top leaderships, I can't find anything likable about Martin Bormann, but he was a smart guy, and he was a ruthless guy, and he was a very driven guy who found a way to, well, let's see exactly what he was trying to do. That's an interesting story. But you have people like, could you imagine somebody like Gubotnik and Himmler and Kamla and some of the top SS generals putting on robes and doing ancient ceremonies and sacrificing goats? Right? No. It just, if you look at some of these people and you look them in the eyes and you go like, yeah, I don't see you dancing around the fire sacrificing baby goats. I'm stereotyping for those who are interested in psychic and occult rituals. I know there's more to it than that. I just don't see these people that are ruthless and pragmatic and intelligent and driven on an earthly scale, taking part of black magic rituals. And I haven't found any. I haven't found any references, any semblance, anything to it, except for the symbolism used. And because of the symbolism used, with references to ancient times, druids, magic, black sun, because of that symbolism, I think that's where the story of the occult practices. One thing is, well, I have a rune tattoo. Well, I had a rune tattoo. I have I have runes sitting somewhere. I have a Thor's hammer. It doesn't mean that I am a pagan because I have a Thor's hammer hanging on my wall. My grandmother's Viking historian. I have an interest in history. It doesn't mean that I practice what I study. And I think the same thing could be said for a large part for Himmler's SS. However, there's enough to be said about the NNAB and resettling and programs, and something was up with the NNAB. It's not that straightforward. Especially some of the documents that come out where they're looking for secret sites for the NNAB. And some of the NNAB archaeologists were stashed away in Jonastal towards the end, according to Goldman. And now I'm going to keep asking myself, why? Why? That's a question that I still haven't answered. That's why the NNAB special is taking so long, because I'm not finding what I expect to find. I'm not finding what you expect to find. I'm finding other things in other directions, and I'm not entirely sure where they're leading. And I know there's a lot. Again, we're back to documents that have not been been discovered. Pia, come on, take a look at the wall behind me. What do you see? If you know Vikings, you know exactly what you're seeing behind me. See the Viking hatchet, you see the Viking axe, you see the Viking sword, you see a drinking horn. My grandmother was a Viking historian. I grew up digging up old Viking settlements in Denmark. So yes, that's where that half of the family came from. The other half was Prussian, and I'm pretty sure they eventually also could be dated back to the Vikings, since they certainly had settled in what is today Poland. However, so anyway, that was kind of just wanted to tell you about that thing. Deutschland Night, Servus. And now we're, I mean, and you know, you can, God, I got in trouble once because I broke down how the Vikings would had more chivalry than many others, since they allowed the women to take revenge on anybody who had violated them themselves, which I think is brilliant. So, and somebody I think got yelled at because the code of chivalry was well, yeah, no, apparently chivalry is also out. I got yelled at the other day by some woman I was holding the door for, that she could do it on her own. Didn't need me to hold the door for her. It's like, well, the old ways have certainly changed, but I still think that there's a place for chivalry. All right. Anyway, so let me see, who have I heard from while we have been sitting here, because I know that I'm not going to work. See if Joseph had written us before I tag off. And a lot of you guys are writing while we're sitting here. Yeah. A lot of hints on bunkers we're going to go see. That is great. Joseph did not write me back. Didn't think he would. And Mr. Jones had an unexpected and expensive detour, so I guess he got in trouble. We will hear from Mr. Jones when we have a time when he's back in the world. You know what? Chivalry is not dead until I say so, and I haven't said so. And I know there's a lot of younger people that think that their way of equal everything, and I don't know. Even the communists preached for equal everybody, and then they stuck all the women in the factories after they gave birth and let the state raise their children. If you think that's a good idea, well, okie dokie. But I'm saying chivalry is not dead because I say so. So there, bite me. He got stuck somewhere. He had an unforeseen event. He did not tell me what it was. So, get a pump to drain out the escape. I found a few escape tunnels. Which ones? And you know what? I think that there are still people that appreciate the old ways, because there's still a biological difference. Oh my dear God! Now see, if this was monetized, it would just be, I get like a little hook coming, pulling me off stage center left now. All right, original people in the world live. Yes. So somebody said something that hey, like I always said, I'm too old to change, and I'm not gonna stop being who I am. And hey, and I still think we should take care of women and children in lifeboats first, and then we have to learn how to swim. Anyway, yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Oh, radio show. Did they ever say why they initially banned that that video we did? I'm just curious. I know they usually don't say why. They just did, and then they accept your appeal, and then they don't talk more about it, but they don't actually tell you why they did what they did. No, you're never told to do the right thing. Well, I think I dreamt of sharks. What are some of the episodes you have on the back burner? Maybe. I have a lot of World War I forts, a lot of World War I battlefields, a lot of interesting secret test bunker sites out from World War I. We'll do that. There's a lot more coming out of Czechia, and you may have all noticed we have not even gone to one of the most important places of all of Kamla's research, the Bergkristall tunnels. I have a lot of footage and a lot of information, and we did a lot of exploring out there. And the reason why I do it last, well, I'm not going to do it last. There's never going to be last. But why I haven't done it yet is I am still hoping that some of the powers that be will actually relent and give me the information I am asking for when it comes to Bergkristall and what happened in Gusen. And I am also hoping at some point in time Andreas Sulzer will come on and talk about, well, on one hand, what he found and what or why they did what they did to stop him. But I am still constantly trying to talk to the good people. It's very interesting. The people that oversee all this information is a civilian agency that is hired by the government to oversee these facilities. But for some reason, they seem to answer to the people at the Mauthausen Memorial. So, and I really don't know what to make of that. They have actively, physically covered up stuff, and they're actively keeping information and explorations away or not public, or they'll stop people finding things. It's very, very, very frustrating what is going on out there. And I'm still hoping that one of them will do the right thing, which is why I haven't made my episode from the Bergkristall tunnels yet, where I really tell you what's there, because I would like someone out there to have done a little soul searching and stepped up and go like, all right, this is what we know, and this is what we think, and this is what you haven't been allowed to see, and this is why. I don't even want to see why. I don't care why. I don't care why you hide things for all the, whatever your reasons are for hiding and classifying things, I don't care. I just want to know now, because it's been so long and something really special took place out there. And even my interview with the people from Mauthausen, or when I talked to them, they were sort of surprised at some of the people I knew, and I knew what they had said doesn't really confirm with their story. And there's just it's very, very frustrating. And I will be haven't gone to Oberammergau yet. I will be. There's a NATO school sitting on top of those tunnel entrances. So crawling in there in the middle of the night doesn't seem to be an option. So I actually did my military thing and asked for accommodations for a couple of nights, and requested a meeting with a public affairs officer, and he didn't get back to me. That was last year. But I'm going up there again a lot more. In Austria, I'm going to spend a lot more time in Austria. There's a lot of things we have to see up there. So now we will see what they come up with. But it depends. I really don't wear I only wear black t-shirts, and mostly made by Grunt Style or Affliction, and they're usually extra large. You stick to something you know that fits, that doesn't run, and that's sort of all cotton. Which is why I haven't printed t-shirts for you guys yet.
Oh, you know, VDoc, I cannot copy paste coordinates from my StreamYard. You don't know that, but you know that now. So I have to go on my YouTube and get it from there. Hang on. You don't know that, but you know that. All right, hang on. So I don't know when you send me a coordinate. I don't know if I visited yet because there it is. Because I don't remember 12-digit coordinates offhand. Nor did I ever. Where's that? Laxwerke. Oh, is this up in Austria? Is this Hornpapa? Where is this? I haven't visited it. Did it? Why is this? What is there? Bratislava, Vienna. Oh, no, I haven't. I have not visited that. What is there? That's the one thing Google is good for. Maps. Anyway, I got the coordinate stored, and I know I haven't been there, but now I will have to take a look at it and see what's there. If you want to give me a heads up, sorry, I'm looking around my camera. Shoot me a heads up. Let me know if there's anything in specifics you would like me to look at on that one. And on that note, now I'm just reading you guys. All right, you guys. Hey, Rob. Well, anyway, well, we got to chat a little bit. Sorry about Jones not being here. Something got in his way that was unforeseeable, and I will get him rescheduled at some point in time where he is not detained by something or someone. I love that kid. He's just mad, and he will go into these tunnels. I don't know if you've seen his website. It's just it's amazing where he will snake his way into places that I will definitely not get into. Not because I have a problem getting into it, because I just won't be able to, because I haven't actually met him yet, but I'm pretty sure he weighs half of what I do. He looks a little skinnier than me. I'm top heavy. I get stuck in places, and that's one thing I don't want to go and end up in a tunnel somewhere. But he'll crawl through pipes and things, places I just couldn't physically get into. So that'll be an interesting exploration. And I will see you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll be on there in the chat, even if it has a crappy reception, because I actually have to go to work. Tomorrow, I hope I can tell you something you didn't know yet, or a lot of information in the episode tomorrow. And it's all the photos and the video is from the time and places that I'm talking about. That's what took so long. And I'm going to go exploring the sites as well, just not in tomorrow's episode, because it would just be 3 hours long, and I won't do that to you. But I hope to have tomorrow shed a little bit more light on what actually happened towards the end of World War II and what Kamla was doing, and introduce you to Wilhelm Voss and to Rolf Engel.
And yes, we'll all say a silent prayer of whatever deity we pray to for Joseph. I'm pretty sure he will be fine. And I will, all right, root line 5-2, you're in. I'll shove you through the pipes then. I'm 5-2 sideways. Anyway, all those years of working out. But I'll give you also my best, and thank you. I didn't know you could actually give me coffee fund money when I have listed the way I did, and I'm practically out of coffee, so I do appreciate that. Thank you so much, brother. I hope this year I'll be able to spend at least 2 consecutive months in Europe digging around, which I'm going to need you guys to help me with finding some stuff, so I can still sort of take minutes and also do uploads a couple of episodes. Joseph had a heart attack, and he went to the hospital. He had a stent put in, and then he caught the flu. He's back home. He's recovering. He's okay. He put up a couple of blocks already, but he lost his voice. So he will not be doing any live talks for a little bit of a while. I have reached out to him and asked him if he wanted to write up some things, and I'll just read them for him. But he'll be okay. I think he'll be okay. But still, I know. Damn, what's her name? Catherine Austin Fitz has set up a GoFundMe for Joseph, and so yes, I'll actually see if I can get a link to that so I can post that for you guys, because he's a good guy, and I want to make sure that him and his dog has to have enough food. Yes, I know. If you go to Facebook, to Joseph's Facebook, there are updates there that he wrote about what's going on, has gone on with him. And all right, skinny people go in, as long as you bring the camera first. But yes, go to Joseph's Facebook page. I don't know what he put up on his own website, because I just chat with him directly. But I will hear back from him, and I'll keep you guys updated as well. Does she live in? I don't know where she lives actually, but I'm kind of curious to have a chat with her about. I'm thinking her and my Swiss banker should come on the show at some point in time and talk about all the things that's way above my intelligence level. That could be spaghetti. Anyway, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow. If I have a good enough connection tomorrow where I am, if I might jump on and do a live after tomorrow's episode, just to do some questions, because there's going to be a lot of information coming at you tomorrow, and I hope you all enjoy it, and you have a good day out there, and I will see you all, well, soon. So be safe, be good. If you can't be good, don't get caught.